Hey, Paul Mueller here from 1851 Franchise. I'm here today with Eric Gustafsson from Famous Toastery. He's the VP of Franchise Development. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well also. I think that the most natural place to start here would be to take it all the way back to high school. Um, I know that your parents were Quiznos franchisees when you were in high school, so you were introduced to the franchising industry at a very young age. Tell me about that experience. Tell me about the work that you did with your parents and what it was like, growing up in high school and watching your parents grow and run their business.
Yeah, so that was really I kind of got thrust into franchising really at a really early age, 15, 16 years old. My parents were Quiznos franchisees. They were also the master developer for Maryland and Southeast Pennsylvania. So, they were in charge of everything from selling franchises to construction and design and getting them open and then overseeing operations for the franchisees. So, really did a lot of that from start to finish. I remember back to my 15th birthday unloading a truck at 5 in the morning at a Quiznos franchisee's location for their grand opening. But it became ingrained in my life. We throughout high school, I was sent to lunch every day with a Quiznos meat in my lunch bag and a sandwich. I really just became every facet of my life. And then, obviously when I got out of college, it seemed to make the most sense to go into franchising, and that's when I became a franchisee.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your first foray into franchising as a business owner yourself.
Yeah. So my first, I went through a franchise consulting company. They, obviously laid out a few different options to me that were in my investment range, and ultimately landed on a service business called Dryer Vent Wizard. We cleaned, installed, and repaired dryer vents in houses and in commercial applications. And so it was, essentially it was just me. I was the technician, I was the business manager, I was the accountant. I really did it all until I could get the business up and running and then hire some people. Ultimately, we were able to grow it to a point where another opportunity came up and I had the opportunity to sell my territory to another franchisee. So it was a great learning experience.
And I know that from there you moved into another franchise, but I'm more interested in the transition from being a franchisee to working in franchise development and working in corporate. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so that was actually, it was very intriguing for me. At the time running a service business, I spent, a good bit of my days crawling in crawl spaces, up in attics, getting really dirty and dusty. And it was really hard work. And spent a lot of long, hard hours out in the field, kind of just doing the grunt work. And then an opportunity arose throughout some connections that I had made through the time with Quiznos, where they were putting together a team of guys to essentially go out and take area directorships for a full service casual dining chain called Hurricane Grill and Wings based out of Florida. So myself, along with about 10 other guys, joined to sell franchises throughout the U.S. And grow that brand. And it was a great transition from really being in the field doing the work to kind of elevating up to a point where we could start thinking about how are we going to sell franchises, how do we position this franchise to sell, how do we generate leads. Really thinking about the business from a 30,000 foot level as opposed to kind of being on the ground floor and doing the work myself. And it was, it took me up from, being in a van doing a dirty job really to a more professional job where I was, traveling around trade shows, meeting leads, going to discovery days, and really being on the franchisor side of things, which really, really got me kind of excited about the franchise business. I saw a career there versus, running my own business and trying to sell a business. I saw more longevity in sticking on the franchisor side versus, kind of finding the next new hot franchise and hoping it works out. So it really led me to this point in my career.
So yeah, tell me about this point in your career, right? You're at Famous Toastery now, and for those who may not know, tell me a little bit about Famous Toastery and also about what your role is at the company.
Sure. Yeah. So Famous Toastery is this great little brand. We have 25 locations in the Carolinas. We're a casual dining brunch and lunch chain. You can get brunch or lunch all day. We have, like I said, we have 25 locations throughout the Carolinas, a few in Virginia. And we're looking to really expand where our roots are right now throughout the Carolinas, Tennessee, Virginia, Florida, really the Southeast. But, I think what really drew me to this brand was, the commitment to the quality of the product that's offered to the consumer. I think that's one thing that you can't really fake when you're trying to develop a franchise. And especially given the time that we're in now with pressures from inflation and everything, it's really been kind of refreshing to see the leadership from our company really lean into the focus on the quality of the product we're offering versus, taking shortcuts and trying to lower our costs by serving an inferior product to offset some of these inflationary pressures. So, I think the product that we serve is number one. It's dynamite. It can't be beat. And, I don't think our competition are even close when it comes to the quality of the product that we serve. And I think we have a lot of room left to grow. So, I think when I looked at this, I saw 25 locations. Okay, that's a very good start. Now, how do we get to 100? And that's really kind of where we're at right now is making sure that we're putting the processes in place to drive leads and attention to the business and convert to more franchise sales. And then obviously open more and more successful restaurants, choose better locations, bring our average unit volumes up, and really kind of blow this out.
Yeah, you mentioned sort of putting together a roadmap to get to 100 locations. What are some of the territories or states that you guys are looking to grow into most?
Yeah, so right now, really focused on the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina. Florida is a big opportunity for us. I think there's a population boom there. And Virginia, obviously, there's a lot of areas in Northern Virginia where we can be successful just due to the amount of people, the demographics, the incomes. But, I think as we've looked around and we've done some real estate surveys and we actually partner with a real estate intelligence company to do a white space analysis, what we found is that there's just kind of a lack of casual dining breakfast chains out there. There certainly are many of them, but not in the higher quality, better breakfast segment. So, I think we have a lot of space to grow into. And I even look at some of the markets where we already have a good bit of density, like Charlotte. There's still open availability in those areas. So really, it's just a matter of getting in front of the right people and kind of boosting our presence out there online, driving leads in, and then obviously just letting them kind of learn about the business on their own, and really being a facilitator there to get them the information they need to make their decision. We don't want to force anyone into buying a franchise. We know our franchise can sell itself, so we want to make sure that we're giving them the information that they need to make that decision on their own.
Yeah, and I'm interested with all the experience that you have, not just in franchise development, but also as a franchisee, multiple time franchisee, and the work that you did even with your parents when you were in high school. How does that experience benefit you in your current role in franchise development and targeting the right franchisees and setting them up to succeed?
Yeah, so I think number one, I've been in their shoes. I've sat across from the table from a franchisor during a discovery day and tried to, do my best to kind of uncover the things that they weren't telling me. So, I essentially committed to myself, once I start selling franchises and trying to get people into a system, I want to be open and honest with them. I don't want to give them this big rosy picture that may not necessarily be 100% true. I want them to have a realistic expectation of what they're signing themselves up for, because running a franchise, it's not easy. It's not, you don't just turn it on and the sales start flowing in day one. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of hours. And you really have to be committed to following a system. So those are, I kind of try and weave that into the franchise sales process, where I'm looking at franchisee candidates as much as they're looking at me and trying to determine, are they fit for the system? Are they going to follow the system standards? Are they going to push marketing? Are they going to make sure that, they're following their budgets? I'm trying to learn as much about them through the franchise sales process as they're trying to learn about us. But I really think it's about transparency. And again, giving them the information that they need to make their own decision, because these are, they're significant investments. investments. A lot of people are cashing in their life savings to open a business. And it's not something that we want to take lightly. We want to make sure that all of our franchisees are successful, that they're happy with our system, and that because ultimately what that leads to is them to committing to additional units. And that's what we've seen so far at Famous Toastery. 65% of our franchisees own more than one unit. And to me, that's the biggest testament to our brand. It's if franchisees were unhappy with the quality of the product, if they were unhappy with the quality of the support, they wouldn't be coming back for an additional one. So we really want to make sure that when we're bringing in new franchisees and sitting across from the table and agreeing to move forward, that we're doing this with the intention of them doing one and then being so happy that they come back and bring multiples to the system.
Yeah. What are some of the traits that you see in successful Famous Toastery franchisees, the traits that they have in common?
Yeah. A big one for me is energy. I want to see somebody that's excited, that, is excited to answer my call. They want to talk. They have a ton of questions. They've done their own independent research. Really look at it almost from an interview perspective. When you're looking at candidates in an interview process, I want to make sure that they're coming to the table excited, that they're, they've got, obviously they have to be well capitalized. They have to have the money to get into a business like this, but really it's an energy thing, because you can have I've seen franchisees have all the money in the world. They sign up, they kind of flounder through the process of getting their business open, and then they just kind of shut down at grand opening and expect the faucet to turn on and the money to start rolling in. And it's, we all kind of know that doesn't really happen. So it takes a lot of energy even after that, all of that setup phase, the franchise signing, construction, and then once you get to grand opening, that's when you really got to put the gas down and work hard on marketing your business. So I really look for energy. I look for someone that I wouldn't mind following as a leader. I think you have to be a great leader to be a great franchisee. You have to obviously inspire your team, inspire your employees. So between energy and leadership and experience, I think, especially in restaurants, experience is a bonus. Restaurant is a tough business, and there's a learning curve to it. And it's not to say that we couldn't bring in someone who didn't have restaurant experience and teach them how to be a restaurateur. But it's certainly advantageous to have that background and that experience as well.
You mentioned that, one of your goals is obviously to get to 100 units. What are some of the milestones that you guys have already hit along the way towards that ultimate goal of 100 units?
Yeah. So, I think 20 was big. We have 25 locations now, 5 are corporate, 20 are franchisees. We opened our first ghost kitchen in 2020 in Northern Virginia, which was a big success, as many restaurants did during the pandemic. But I think really our next big milestone will be having 50 total franchise agreements committed to. So we've got some franchise sales to make here in the next year or two to get to that number. We're hoping by end of 2024, we're at that 50 number with 50 committed franchises and franchisees. And then from there, it's just a matter of numbers and repetition. I think what we've really focused on for the first half of this year was kind of getting a lot of the process and systems in place. We've organized with franchise lenders. We've put a lot of automation into the back end of the franchisor. We've obviously brought in a ton of people to lead the company and build up departments. So it's really, a lot of it has been building that infrastructure and getting ready for that time when the leads are flowing in and everybody's seeing success, and we're kind of steamrolling. So really building the back end first, and then really pushing the franchise sales and bringing more units to the system.
Yeah, and that's a lot of different things that you have going on right now. What's the one thing that you're working on that you're most excited about?
Yeah, I think what I got most excited about was really some of the real estate intelligence and looking at the amount of data that's available on people right now out there, just from cell phones and internet searching, is pretty scary. It's incredibly powerful for a franchisor. We were able to take the 25 locations that we have and really do a deep demographic and social profile study on our core customers. So, we focused on 10 restaurants that were really in the top echelon of our system, and tried to figure out, well, who are the people that come to our restaurant? Who are the people that live around our restaurant? What do they search for online? Where else do they shop? What other restaurants do they like? How do they vote? And all of this information is stuff that's available out there. It blew my mind seeing what some of these data companies really know about us. And then you start to think about, okay, well, how can we use this? Well, I can use this information to kind of target my digital advertising for franchise development. We can use it for our consumer marketing. Really kind of looking at the data and utilizing technology and bringing that into this business that really hasn't had it before. I think we're going to see a lot of success from that.
That's awesome. Yeah, obviously data is huge right now. I think the last thing really is, especially from somebody in your seat with the vast experience that you have, I'd love to know, what would be your advice to somebody who's thinking about getting into the franchising industry, whether that's on the franchise development side or as a franchisee themselves?
Yeah, I think my advice to a franchisee would be to do your due diligence. I've seen a lot of people get into franchises and, have really just basically focused on reading what they can see online on the franchisor's website. Do the investigation. Don't trust everything that you see on a franchise. Make sure you're calling franchisees. Make sure you're speaking to former franchisees and finding out why it didn't work. With that, keep that in mind with the lens that there are franchisees of every system that fail or succeed or do really well. So you kind of have to identify, are the majority of the franchisees succeeding here? Are they happy? Are they making money? Is the business somewhat future proof, or is it a fad? And really look at it that way. Kind of identifying from a franchisor perspective, what I'd be looking for is really the people. And that's really part of what led me to Famous Toastery. After meeting Robert, the founder, and Brian, his partner, co-founder, I was sold after that. I knew that they'd be great guys to work for. They had a vision for the company. They've obviously seen a lot of success in the past, with very successful restaurants and a lot of corporate stores and multi-unit franchisees. And that was something that I knew, they would have my back. And so when I came in, I felt really comfortable stepping in day one and saying, okay, here's what I think we should do. Let's go this direction. And they had trust in me. And that's really created an awesome relationship. And it makes work fun every day. It makes me happy to sell this franchise and talk to franchisees, because I know that what they're buying into, after the franchise agreement's done, I kind of take a step aside, and then the rest of my team needs to carry the ball. And I have full confidence in my team that they're going to, support the franchisees the way that they expect, and that this will be a good investment for them.
That's great, Eric. So that's well said. A lot of good advice in there. I guess thanks again for taking this time. I really do appreciate it. And is there anything that we didn't discuss that you would like to touch on?
No, this has been great. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, congratulations on all the success, and best of luck to you as you guys, kind of cruise towards those 100 locations.
Very good. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thanks, Eric.
All right. Take care. Bye.